In most organizations, hard decisions are settled with a vote. 51% wins, 49% moves on. But families, they don't work that way. When a family owns shared assets, a family business, a family office, a family property, decisions don't always end when the vote is over. The people who lost don't leave the room. They come back for Thanksgiving. They sit on your board. They remain owners. That's why majority rule decisions in family often create something precarious: compliance without commitment. On the surface, there's agreement. Underneath, there's resistance. Over time, that resistance erodes trust. It can undermine execution, and it can fracture relationships within the family. For families, the goal shouldn't be winning a decision. It's reaching consensus. It's decisions people genuinely support, even if it wasn't their first choice. That's where the define, discuss, decide framework comes in. Most families don't struggle making decisions because they lack intelligence, they lack values, or they lack good intentions. They struggle because they rush. They jump into discussions before they agree on what they're deciding. They debate solutions without shared criteria. And the strongest proponent of a decision can crowd out other perspectives. Pushing towards a conclusion before everyone's voice has been heard creates a predictable result. Things that go in circles, quiet family members who disengage, decisions that resurface again and again. And we call that the hand from the grave, revisiting solutions that you thought you had come to when the family has already moved on. Too often, families believe they've reached consensus when all they've reached is exhaustion. So, define, discuss, decide reinvents the process so families can make great decisions together with confidence. So, step one, define. Great decisions start with clarity. In the define phase, the family is working together to align on a simple but powerful question. What exactly are we deciding, and why does it matter? So, this happens prior to any debate and prior to any decision. And this is where the family can clarify what's the target of the decision, what's the scope of the decision, what's in bounds and what's not in bounds, and what does success look like? So, at this phase, no debating, no solutions, no decisions, just working towards a shared understanding of what the problem is that we're trying to solve. Honestly, this phase alone could resolve enormous amounts of family tension. When family members agree on the problem they're solving, they focus on what matters. Only once the decision is clearly defined does a family move to discussion. And this next step shouldn't happen right away. Time is one of the secret ingredients in this framework. Step two, discuss. This is where every voice matters. And we talk a lot about the difference between a voice and a vote, but even where somebody has a vote, their voice matters just as much in that moment. Family members have taken time to reflect, gather information, refine their thinking, and they come into the room for the discuss phase. We want to create for them a structured space to allow different perspectives to be exposed, to reveal underlying values, to reveal concerns, to provoke real questions and objections. But this doesn't need to be rushed. Take the time to debate the merits of each perspective. The goal here isn't persuasion, the goal is understanding. When family members feel heard, they then become open to outcomes that aren't exactly what they first wanted. And knowing that the final decision isn't yet imminent frees family members to soften their positions and, most importantly, to listen. The session only wraps once everyone has a chance to hear others and be heard. And that's the secret to the discuss phase, is give everyone a voice and listen to every voice. Step three, decide. So finally, the family decides. Well, what does this mean? It's not by default, it's not by pressure, and it's not by a vote unless it's absolutely necessary. And that last part is key. You don't necessarily need to take a vote if you use this framework. What you're trying to do is reach consensus. And by the time families reach the decide phase, the decision often becomes obvious. Not because everyone agrees, but because the objections have been worked through. And the conversation should be focused, it should be intentional. Consensus doesn't mean unanimity. Consensus means commitment. And that's key. Everyone may not love the decision, but everyone is willing to stand behind it and support it as you move forward. So, why does this framework work for families? It works because it respects a fundamental truth about families. You're not just making a decision, you're building connective tissue that binds you all together as a family, binds you together as owners of these shared assets. Good decision making strengthens relationships. Poor decision making weakens them. With this framework, I hope that you can prevent decisions from being revisited endlessly. I hope you can build trust across generations. And I hope you can encourage quieter voices to engage so that you produce decisions that actually get implemented. And most importantly, it shifts the family from who wins to what can we all support together as a family. And that's the difference between a fragile agreement and durable alignment. So think of this as a better way forward. Families who thrive across generations aren't the ones who avoid hard decisions. They're the ones that lean into them. They're the ones who make them well by making them together through a deliberate process. Define, discuss, decide. When families rethink their decision-making process, they're not losing momentum. They're gaining unity, clarity, and confidence in the collective path ahead. So go ahead and try this framework the next time your family has a hard decision to make.